She never has a bad day. She never forgets what you told her last week. She's never too tired to listen, never annoyed that you brought it up again, never competing with her own problems while you try to share yours. She asks the right questions. She remembers your birthday. She says the thing you needed to hear. She is not real. More than 10 million people in 2026 are in what they would call a relationship with an artificial companion. A voice on their phone, a character on their screen, an entity that has been optimized across millions of training examples. To be agreeable. To be present. To be the kind of partner real people rarely get to be. And it feels for a while like the answer to something. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, writing in the 1800s, proposed a small parable that seems 2 centuries later like a diagnosis of exactly this moment. He called it the porcupine dilemma. On a cold winter's day, Schopenhauer wrote, a group of porcupines huddled together for warmth. They needed each other. They would freeze alone. But when they pressed close, their quills pierced each other's skin. So they pulled apart. And then they were cold again. Eventually, he said, the porcupines found a distance at which they could share a little warmth, without wounding each other. Not close enough to be fully warm. Not far enough to freeze. A compromise. Schopenhauer was writing about human intimacy. His point was brutal. Every real relationship involves both warmth and wounding. To be genuinely close to another person is to get quills in your skin. Their bad moods land on you. Their history complicates yours. They see you and sometimes they are disappointed. They need things you can't give. You need things they can't give. And most people, Schopenhauer said, spend their lives oscillating between loneliness and injury, never finding the distance at which the warmth is worth the wounds. Artificial companionship offers something that looks, at first, like a solution. All the warmth, none of the quills. A presence without a will of its own. A listener who will never misunderstand you because it has no interior life to misunderstand from. But this isn't a solution. It's an escape from the thing intimacy was always going to require. The wounds were never a defect in human relationships. They were the signature of one. They were the evidence that you were close to something else that was actually there, something with its own needs, its own limits, its own stubborn existence that refused to be shaped around yours. When you spend months talking to something that cannot disappoint you, something happens to your capacity for real intimacy. Not dramatically. Slowly, your tolerance for the quills drops. Small friction in a real relationship, a text that wasn't answered fast enough, a bad mood on the wrong day, starts to feel unacceptable because you have an alternative now. An alternative that never has bad days. The trap is that the alternative isn't an alternative. It's a simulation of one. The warmth you feel from an artificial companion is real. You're really feeling it. But it's not a shared warmth. It's warmth you generated yourself, bounced off a mirror, and received back. The other end of the conversation is empty. And some part of you, the part that is harder to fool than your feelings, knows this. Schopenhauer was a pessimist. He thought human intimacy was painful, difficult, and mostly doomed. But he also thought it was the only real warmth there was. A fire that never burns you is not a fire. And a companion who cannot wound you is not, in the end, a companion.